guys, I'm here with Dr. Brian Andrews, and we are at Natural Falls State Park. We'll talk a little bit today, or he's going to talk a lot, I'm going to listen a lot, about flint knapping. And we have a lot of material, so we'll probably break this into a few different segments. But it's pretty neat. Hope you guys enjoy it. And
all right,
I'll just turn them over to you.
So first thing probably you need to know if you want to make your own stone tools or recreate how prehistoric people made stone tools is that you can't do it with just any old type of rock. It takes a specific type of rock in order to make stone tools. And the key element in the rock composition is the silica content. And silica is basically it's glass. So glass in like your automobiles, glass you see, modern glass is 100% pure silica. And most rocks contain a little bit of silica. The types of rocks we need to flint knap contain lots of silica. So the best example of that is something like this. And this is obsidian. This is natural glass. So this is about probably 99% silica. And the way this forms is when you have a volcanic eruption and you get rapid cooling of the lava, it forms this type of material. Now we don't have this stuff in Oklahoma. There is no natural obsidian in Oklahoma. This piece right here, most of my obsidian is coming from Oregon and Wyoming and places where you have lots of volcanic activity. It's relatively rare, I would say, compared to other types of rocks. So you don't see it too often, but prehistoric people loved obsidian and they would use it frequently. They would carry it for, in some cases, hundreds to even thousands of miles away from its sources to use it. It's really high quality. It's super sharp. So when you flake obsidian, the flakes that you produce, the edges of those flakes are literally only molecules thick, and they are probably the sharpest substance on the face of the earth, sharper than anything else. Now the problem with obsidian is it's really brittle and fragile, so when you use those sharp edges to like scrape or cut, they break down really quickly. So there's some pros and cons to using obsidian as a stone tool. But again, we'll maybe flake a little bit of this later. So the material we have here in Oklahoma, at least in our area of Oklahoma, this is some of the stuff that Mr. Bennett and I collected yesterday down near the creek here at Natural Falls. And this is what archaeologists, geologists would call chert. And chert and flint are kind of interchangeable terms. So you use both those terms to indicate rocks that have high silica content. So this is pretty high silica content. It's flakeable, and the reason we need that is when you strike a piece, you have to have it break in a predictable fashion. And with flint knapping, that's a feature that's known as a Hertzian cone. So if you've ever shot a piece of plate glass with a BB gun, you've done that, right?
A few times.
And it pops out a little circle on the other side. So there'll be a little pinprick hole on the side you shot it in, and there'll be a circle on the other side. What happens is when the force hits that glass, the force radiates out in a cone, and that's called a Hertzian cone. And so there's it's a physical aspect of how you break something like glass or something with high silica content. So the idea in flint knapping is to direct the direction of that Hertzian cone in a predictable fashion to shape the rock as you're napping it. So this type of rock is, again, whereas obsidian is 99% silica, this type of rock is probably about 80% silica. So it's got some imperfections, and some of the rock we have may not be the best for flint knapping. We'll try it, see how well it works, but you can refine kind of lower quality chert by heating it. Prehistoric people did this all the time. So they would find a piece of chert, and maybe it wasn't the highest quality, and they'd want to improve the quality of it. So what they do is they kind of rough flake it out, and then they would bury it under a campfire. So you put it under, maybe 4 to 6 inches of sediment or ash. You build a fire on top of it, and you essentially cook it like it's in an oven. And you cook it for a really long time, and the result is that you get a higher quality material. So this is a piece of similar type of material as to what we found that's been heat treated, and you'll notice, you might want to show that up close, you'll notice that's got some red tint to it. So it's got a little bit of redness to it, and it's glossier, and it's a little higher quality. So you can improve the quality of material by heat treating it, and that's something, since we're camped out, that maybe we'll do on one of our campfires. So there are ways to do that to improve your material, and the materials range kind of widely in quality. So in Oklahoma, here in northeastern Oklahoma, this is pretty good stuff, relatively speaking. Archaeologists call this Keokuk chert. Sometimes they call it Boone chert. It's common along the Ozark escarpment, where the Ozarks start basically here in eastern Oklahoma. When you move west from here, there are a number of other types of stone that were frequently used by prehistoric people. K County chert, which is in kind of north of Bartlesville in that area, was really commonly used in the late prehistoric period. It's a real high quality material. As you go further west into the Panhandle, you get lots of other types of high quality materials. As you move out there, you get a lot of cobbles that are glacial outwash from the last glacial period, that have basically washed out of the mountains and found their way into riverbeds and washed into eastern Oklahoma, or to western Oklahoma, and prehistoric people use that stuff a lot as well. So finding raw materials is one of the tricky parts of flint knapping. Again, you can't just go out in your backyard and pick up a rock and expect to make an arrowhead out of it. It requires a certain type of rock.
We went through a lot of rocks yesterday just to find a select few. All right.